good morning, and happy Saturday to all. It is a weekend edition, Saturday edition of the Spin Zone featuring Spin Doc myself. Thank you all so much for being here on behalf of the Daily Bread Network and Win the Day VIP. If you are watching this and like what you hear, please do go ahead and give us some love. Subscribe to the Daily Bread Network on YouTube, and myself, if you haven't already, at Spin Doc Sports on X. Give the video a like, give it a share. We really do appreciate it. It helps get our stuff out there. So we have a weekend edition, and oh my, are there some pitchers going today? There are some pitchers going today. There's some matchups, man. There was a lot. It took a long time to cut this card down. So got three pitchers to talk to you about today. Two of them are from the same game. You can probably already guess which one that is. But before we do that, we always take a retrospective from yesterday. And what did we learn from yesterday? Okay. So the first and foremost, because I was on with Sharpie yesterday, didn't have this show, but because we combined it into one. But if you listened, man, the first thing that I learned was to trust my instinct. First instinct is almost always correct. I'm talking about Max Mayer, Woodbury kid, kid that I wanted to succeed. And it was interesting because after the lineup changes that the White Sox made, because they took out their top two contact guys, Meadroth and Carroll. And, I had him down for 5.25 on a line of 5.5 before that. And the numbers said go and that he hit 6+. There was something that just told me that, no, I think your original read might be correct, but the numbers say to go. The Meadroth and Carroll were replaced by two much lower contact guys, including Matt Bass, who last year, at least in Anaheim, was a walking strikeout. And the indicators post lineup release said go. And then I watched the line, and I watched the second that the lineup changes hit. FanDuel moved their line on the over 5.5 from -118 to -158, like literally like that. We were talking in VIP. Some people in VIP were like, I couldn't even get that price. And because I got it just before MGM moved theirs. Now, the problem is that right after that, what happened? They all came back down a little bit. So what that told me is some of the last minute action on the over was not as heavy as anticipated. And like I said, I always go back and I use it as a lesson. I will admit we played it for a half unit in VIP. I had to with the two lineup changes because it was their two highest contact guys, for one guy that was trash at contact and the other one that was average. And the kid had every chance to hit it. He had every single chance in the world to hit it. I was actually even surprised in his last inning when they ran that suicide squeeze and Sosa got on. I was surprised that they let him pitch to the next guy and walked him on 4 straight pitches. And then at that point, they had to pull him. So he had every chance in the world. It was nice to see them give him leeway. But for me, my lesson from that is that in most cases, and you should do the same thing too, is that trust your instincts, but you also have to be flexible. So that was a 50-50 ball last night that for those of you that took the over, you didn't hit. Now, and I highly doubt anybody was playing the under on the White Sox, but trusting your instincts is so important in this game because I've seen it happen before where, how many times do you see people, maybe you've said like, I knew that wasn't going to hit. I knew he was going to get hit. Blah, 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 blah. Right. If your instincts tell you to do it, then chances are, especially if you have a winning method, like myself for strikeouts, for example, and I know a lot of people listen to this that are great cappers in baseball and other sports, but like you got to trust yourself and you got to trust your instincts. So that was my lesson on Max Mayer. I saw Roger was in the comments saying, well, we got a little dispute in the comments about the Cy Young. Roger, welcome in. Thank you for joining, my guy. Appreciate you being here as always. Tarek Skubal, my God. It's almost becoming at this point where, like, I wish I could just pre-bet Skubal's over for every home start that this man has. What else are you going to do? I talked about it on the show yesterday with Sharpie, is that I wasn't 100% convinced on the over. Obviously, that hit by 10 miles. But in no way can I fade this man at home, and you shouldn't either. So that would be my advice from Skubal, is to say, look, maybe you're not always on his over at home, but oh my God, don't be on his under at home. Just don't stand in front of this man. They did let him go a little bit longer last night, so that's a positive sign that maybe he will get the full runway, and they won't be limiting his innings or his pitches for later in the season. There might be times where the Tigers still do that, because remember, the Tigers are in first place. Tigers lead the AL Central right now. They're in the driver's seat for a really, really nice spot in the AL playoffs. And the AL Central, I mean, it's competitive with Cleveland and with Kansas City. So I would not be surprised if there's spot starts here and there where they do limit Skubal, just so they have him ready for the postseason. And because one of the things that he kills people with is that velo, and you don't want to see get to the postseason and have him only be able to get up to like 95, 96. It's still a decent fastball, don't get me wrong, but one of the big things he can get guys with is just by going up the ladder at 99 to 100. But Tarek Skubal went ballistic yesterday, so that would be my advice from that one, is maybe you're not on Tarek Skubal every home start, but do not fade Tarek Skubal at home. You just can't do it. This is another lesson here too, where both Sharpie and I said, I couldn't get there for the over, and it hit. But I talked about this yesterday. I don't play results poker. I don't go back at the end of a hand and think, oh God, I threw away a 2-6 offsuit and it would have made the nuts straight. I don't play that way. I look at it and to say, was my read what I normally would? Is that how I normally read it? Yep. I mean, these are professional athletes. Things happen. So I used it as a lesson, and lessons are free, and I don't have FOMO from it. And that's probably one of the hardest things to do in the gambling world, is to look back and something that you're like, well, I'm not 100% sure, maybe not. And then you see a bunch of people saying, oh, look, we cashed this ticket. Oh, it was part of my 18 bet parlay. And oh yeah, it was easiest bet ever. FOMO is going to kill you, because all FOMO is going to do is make you look at the next one the next day and be like, well, shit, this is another can't miss one. I can't miss that, and I can't miss this. And then those ones don't miss, and then those ones miss, and then you're chasing. So that's what I learned from Skubal, is I'm not fading him at home, and I'm not going to have a single second of FOMO about it. I'm glad for those that played the over. I'm glad that you cashed. Whenever we take money out of the book's pocket, that's always good for me. It doesn't always have to be me. Because I did just find myself yesterday. So that's what I take from that. And then the last thing I want to talk about from yesterday, good morning to Mario, always with us. Thank you, my guy. And said to Roger, Cy Young race is not over. Hunter Brown right here. Hunter Brown, man, he is certainly making his case. 9-pack last night. That's actually what I gave out in VIP. We played the 7, we played the 8. We played the 9. We had the ladder. We hit the 9 for plus 250, and they let him go to 100. And I was watching the end of the game, and I said to my wife, I said, they are going to let him go, because she was like watching too. She's like, is he going to get there? And I said, they will let him go until he lets one base runner on, and then he's done. And sure enough, at 100 pitches, he walked Lux with 2 outs. And there they were. So actually, DraftKings didn't even let you take beyond 9. 9 was the highest that they would let you go, and I think FanDuel, I think some smaller books may have hung 10s on there, but most of them was 9. So in VIP we hit that, but Hunter Brown, man, once he's gotten more control, his fastball is in the high 90s. He is just blazing. This kid can pitch. This kid has stuff. So he's also a guy where at home I'm never fading him. I'm also going to be actively looking to back him in those spots. So Roger also saying, yep, he lowered his ERA to 1.48. Yeah, he's just pitching his ass off. Hunter Brown has been that dude this year. Actually, probably three of the best pitchers in AL this year, I would say would be Skubal, Hunter Brown, and probably Max Fried. I think you can probably put Cole Reagans up there, who we're going to talk about today. You probably have already guessed that by now. So Cole Reagans maybe a little bit, but he did miss a start. So, but those guys are pretty much like those are your elite AL pitchers for this year. And then the last thing, as I say, good morning to Trying to Rob FanDuel. Good morning. What's up, my guy? Thanks for joining. The last thing that I learned, because I did trust my instinct on this one. So goes back to the trust your instinct with Max Mayer. I trusted my instinct on Kevin Gausman. I had it as a potential. One for an over. And what ended up happening was when I saw the lineup come out, I did not like the way the line moved. It just did not move in the right direction. There were a few sharp books that I pay more attention to that actually moved it down a little bit, and I just got danger signs all over. The numbers all said go, but that little sense, just trust your instinct. It's not going to hit. The first few fastballs he threw, I talked about this on the show yesterday. If this man ain't throwing fastballs at 95, 96, he ain't going to get Ks. It's just that simple. He ain't going to get Ks. So first few fastballs were 92, 93. That was where he sat most of the night. He got a few 95s in there, and he only got 3 strikeouts. So lesson learned for me from Kevin Gausman easily is that it sometimes pays to watch, and it pays for a guy like Gausman. It pays to watch, because if that fastball is in the 95, 96 range, he can use it as an out pitch. If not, then he's kind of forcing guys to chase on his splitter, which often runs way out of the zone, and his slider, which it's a third pitch for a reason. It's kind of average-ish. So anyways, those are the learnings from last night, but we will get on to the business of today. We have a whole bunch of pitchers to choose from. Like I said, I had trouble narrowing it down. These swing metrics that you're about to see up on the screen, these are updated as of this morning. This is everything for the last 2 weeks, April 26th through May 9th. So the first one, I mean, I don't let a show go by without talking about the man. So Big Jack Flaherty, the righty, striking guys out at a 29.1% clip, and a walking guys at 7.6%, gets the Rangers at 6:10 Eastern. Right now, FanDuel and most books are hanging a pretty close line to it, pretty close. Like they're pretty much the same. Minus 122, minus 106. And yes, Mario, I couldn't go without having to mention Jack Flaherty. So Jack Flaherty gets the Rangers to this 5.5 line, which is really interesting, because when you go back and look at his home starts, and 2 of them were actually against teams at the time who were making decent contact. The Padres 9, now albeit they didn't have our eyes at that time. The Yankees, who weren't in their contact dip, they started really good, dipped down bad, and now have come back up again. Yankees 9 and the White Sox 7. So this man is averaging almost 8 strikeouts a game at home, and he's only failed to hit 6 strikeouts twice in his last 6 starts. those two being Houston, who's a high contact team, and Milwaukee, who's patient for a guy like Flaherty, who throws out of the zone quite often to the tune of 46.4%, which is well under pitcher average. The other thing that's a little suspicious about this line is that there's 57 plate appearances in this lineup against Flaherty, and he only has struck him out. He only struck them out 16 times. So a 28.1% strikeout clip, which is quite good and would be more than enough based on his outs prop to get to 6 for sure, possibly 7. But they dropped him. They dropped him to a 5.5. He's been at 6.5 for his last few starts. He's been at 6.5 virtually every home start, and he's torched it. And they dropped him to a 5.5. Well, let's dig a little bit deeper. So I told you Jack operates outside the zone quite a bit. And he gets with this man, because he doesn't have an overpowering fastball. We've already talked about this, is that he needs to get fouls and he needs to get swings to set up his chase stuff. Now, we look at the Rangers, and this has been the case for the entire season. And this is actually what ended up killing them against Scooble last night, is that this team swings freely. This is one of the freest swinging teams in the league. So you have 33.9% chase rate, which is one of the highest in baseball over the last 2 weeks. This is pretty parallel to the season. And a 71.1% zone swing rate, which is third in baseball over the last 2 weeks. And they are top 5 for the season as well. So they're going to swing a lot. So Flaherty doesn't necessarily have to use his four-seam fastball all the time. He can use his slider and his knuckle curve, which are primarily his out pitches, but are pitches that he can use earlier in counts for teams that swing freely. So we look back at Jack's history, and we look back and we see what teams has he faced that have swung this freely, especially outside of the zone. Well, one is the Padres, and he got them for 9. Now, the Padres do make contact at a higher rate than the Rangers. We also see that, so the Yankees don't chase at all, and the White Sox chase under league average. So those are his home games. The Angels chase right at league average. He got them for 8. And the Brewers don't chase at all. So chase teams he has gotten, which makes this line move down to 5.5, a little on the suspicious side. The other thing here is when Flaherty started against the Angels. Now the Angels are so bad that Flaherty just picked it up anyway. Flaherty was operating on short rest. Jack Flaherty on short rest has been a very, very iffy proposition. He's a very routine-based guy. Like I said, his four-seam fastball velo isn't the greatest to begin with, and it goes down a tick to the tune of back during his last start. His overall velo was, it ended up being normal, but he had a few four-seam fastballs that were like in the low 90s and one even in the high 80s. So on regular rest, like everything for this should say over. But this is that instinct part I was telling you about. And this is why besides the fact that it's Jack and it's my guy, this is why I wanted to talk about Flaherty, because my instinct is telling me this line should be a 6.5, especially when he's averaging for the whole season across all starts 6.6 strikeouts per game. The Rangers are just coming off of a game where they struck out 400 bazillion times, and they drop this man to a 5.5. Now, what they've also done, because when you look at his other lines, when you look across the spectrum for Flaherty, because I try to see if I can discern any clues from there, I also see that his outs are dropped. Normally it's 17.5, and in some cases 18.5 with heavy juice on the under. His outs are down to 16.5. He's been at 16.5 a few times this year. That is right around where his average is, but he has hit 17 plus outs in 2 of his last 3, and also in 5 of his 7 starts this year. So, there's just something telling me that there is the potential here. Not that he will. There's something that's telling me that there's the potential here for Jack to get crunched a little bit, because not only is it not a 5.5 with like I would have expected for a 5.5. I'm like, okay, you put 5.5 up and maybe you put like minus 167 on the juice or something like that, right? And or you hang a 5.5 at absurd over juice, and another book is hanging a 6.5 with absurd under juice, which tells me that they're basically saying he's going to get 6 and we want to even our books out. Okay, I understand that part. But when you lower this man in this spot and lower his outs, you're begging on the action on the over. I'm not going to bite yet. I want to see the lineup. I want to see what the line does with the lineup. I want to dig a little more on this one because at the rate that the Rangers swing, which is one of the highest clips in the league, there should be plenty of opportunities for this lineup, which as of right now is 6 lefties and 3 righties. And that would favor Flaherty also because he's striking out lefties at 30.8% and righties at 28%. Umpire is neutral. There's no real concern there. And he's carrying a 36.8% K percentage at home. This one's puzzling. I have to be honest with you. I haven't been able to crack the code as far as why he's dropped yet on both outs and he's dropped on outs. He's dropped on strikeouts. His hits are normal. His walks are a little bit higher, but the juice is heavy on the under 2.5. So, I'm sorry, earned runs is heavy. Walks are where they should be. So earned runs is heavy on the under 2.5. So for a team that swings as freely as the Rangers, some of those things are just very, very contrasting. Usually when this happens, I just leave it on the dock and I take the free lesson. But because it's Flaherty, I'm sure I will spend way more time than I need to over the next few hours trying to figure this one out. Mario asked a good question. What lineup should we be looking for? Yep, good question. I'm going to go into that in just a moment. What we want with Jack is we want guys who chase because Flaherty in the zone allows over average for zone contact. Not so much, but his chase contact allowed is elite. So you want guys that chase. So right now, if we're going through this Rangers lineup and we're looking at the chase rate, we have Smith, who's projected to lead off. He is league average, decent contact when he does. We have Langford, who's league average in both. We have Seager, who is a little bit above, and chase contact is below. Seager will be in no matter what, so that's not really anything to look for because you're going to get him. Jock Peterson is pretty much average in both. Marcus Semien chases. Marcus Semien is one who you'd probably want to see. His chase contact is low. Adolis Garcia, for sure, you want to see if you want to go over because he chases a lot, doesn't make contact as much when he does. Evan Carter chases a ton but makes contact. Jonah Heim is about league average in both, and Josh Jung is slightly above average in both. You still want guys that chase. So the guys that I for sure would want to see would be Garcia. I would want to see Evan Carter, even though he's making contact when he chases. I would want to see Josh Jung because even though he's making contact when he chases. A couple of the guys that I wouldn't be too happy to see, Kyle Higashioka, if he's in, I wouldn't be a big fan because he doesn't chase. And a few other guys that could be in this lineup, I think. That's really the only one. So really Higashioka in at catcher for Heim would be about the only thing that I would say would be a downgrade. The other thing that I would want to see right now, Adolis Garcia is projected to bat in the 6 hole. It would be nice if they would move him up right to around cleanup. So if you get him and Jock back to back in the 4 and the 5 hole, that could be a couple strikeouts right there. So right now, officially, Flaherty is a wait and see. I want to see what their lineup does, and I want to see what the line does when this lineup does come out. It's just there really aren't a whole lot of reasons to drop this guy, especially when now he's on regular rest, but they did. And that sends off all kinds of warning signs to me because as I've always said many times, the books have billion-dollar algorithms and we don't. So I'm going to trust that, at least for now, they know what they're doing and it's for a reason. And I'm going to see, I want to see who's catching. I want to see if it's Heim or Higashioka. I want to see where Adolis Garcia is batting. I also want to make sure that Jack Peterson and a few of the other high chase guys are in there, because if you're going to chase against this guy, there's always the potential for whiffs. All right, moving on. We have Garrett Crochet. The lefty is striking guys out at 28.6% clip, walking guys at a 10.2% clip at Kansas City tonight at 7:10 p.m. And we have the line that I expected since yesterday is a over 6.5 at +108 with an under 6.5 at -144. It's pretty much similar across all books. If they put this one at a 5.5, I personally think that they would be super overweight on the over, even if they thought that something might be amiss and there might be some indications that his start wouldn't go as you would expect it to. But his lines are all pretty normal here. Outs 17.5, which is where they have been, hits 4.5, walks 1.5, and earned runs 1.5 with a heavy juice on the over. All of these are right down the middle. So this is where you pretty much get like the should be line for Crochet. So now you got to look at what do the numbers tell us. So what the numbers tell us is that Crochet operates in the zone slightly above league average, and he is quite good, or has been quite good this year at a couple things. Number one is limiting zone contact, only allowing 76.5%. That's one of the better marks for all pitchers going today. Eclipsed only by the other side of that game, who we're going to talk about next. And he's also been elite at striking out lefties, striking them out at a 38.5% clip. And he hasn't, and the lefties he's faced, many of them have not been easy. Now, the Royals tend to run pretty analytical lineups, and it's no surprise that their projected lineup tonight is analytical as well. It is 1 lefty, 8 righties, with the 1 lefty being Pasquantino, who is very, very tough to strike out. So not a whole lot of history here to go off of with Crochet. And even though he did play, obviously, in their division previously, still not a lot of history to go off of. The only 2 guys that he does have quite good history, or he has a decent history against, 5 plate appearances, so that'd probably be 2 games each, with Salvi and with Kana, both who are projected to be in. And for those 10 total plate appearances, he struck them out 5 times. So what Crochet needs is he needs zone contact, or I'm sorry, a lack of zone contact and a lot of zone swing. So we look at the Royals as a team, and we do see that they do swing above league average. They have been absolutely elite at making zone contact over the last 2 weeks. So when I go to the lineup, if we're just going to go down hitter by hitter, so from a zone contact perspective, you have India actually doesn't swing in the zone. He actually takes a lot of pitches in the zone, which, even though his zone contact is elite, could set him up for a strikeout. So I would say he's a 50-50 shot. Bobby Witt swings a lot and makes contact. Pasquantino, same thing. Both of those are probably pretty dead spots. Salvi and Kanha, I think you can easily mark for 1. Maybe even 3 total between the 2 of them. So right now I'm at about 3.5, maybe 4. And then I get to Garcia, and he does not swing a lot in the zone, makes contact when he does. But what he also doesn't do is he doesn't chase. So I would put him as a 50-50 shot as well. Renfro, I would probably put down, because he doesn't swing in the zone, so he can take those strikes. That's another one. So now we're at about 5.5. Furman, I would put down for probably 1, which is 6. Drew Waters can just easily strike out. So this is the lineup that they put out there. And even though he's a lefty, one guy that I would not want to see in this lineup, just because he is so good at making contact, and he's actually good against lefty too, is Kyle Isbell. So right now, Kyle Isbell is not projected to be in the lineup, and Drew Waters is. So if you get both Isbell and Waters, then I think you're probably looking at a 50-50 shot. There's something that I think might take it over the top in just a moment here that I'll share. But if Waters is out and Isbell is in, if that's the change that they end up making and do go two lefties, even though Crochet is elite at striking out lefties, Isbell's very high contact. He's tough to strike out. It would be tough to assign him a value of anything more than a half at a 50-50 shot, whereas Waters, I already have marked down for a strikeout for sure. So I have Salvi for one, I have Canna for one, I have Waters for one. You want to make sure that those three guys are in for sure. And then everybody else, with the exception of Witt and Pascantino, I do have down as kind of 50-50 shots. So you got 3 50-50 shots, or you got 3 for sure, including those 3 guys can easily combine. Like one of them can strike out twice. So 3 to 4 there. And then you have 5, 6, and possibly 7 if Isbell is not in the lineup. Now, what might take this one over, and this is where I talk about I use umpires as a tiebreaker, especially when you have guys like India, you have other guys in this lineup that don't swing that much in the zone, is that Ron Culpa is the umpire. And now, while Ron Culpa is not Bill Miller, while he is not like super over, he is a very pitcher friendly umpire. He is averaging almost 18 strikeouts per game. Umpire average is about 16.6, 16.7. Has umpire average for walk rate is about 8.5%. He's down at 8%. He's had some high strikeout games this year, and you look at his zone and it can be pretty wide. So when I go back to the lineup here for the Royals, and I do see that there's a number of guys that are projected to be in this lineup. Renfroe, Garcia, and India, all 3 of these are all guys that take in the zone. They take early pitches in the zone, and they take close pitches. So Ron Culpa can make a difference today. So I have a lean on the over for this one. You typically think about the Royals and they don't strike out, et cetera, et cetera. But based on where the lineup is and based on who the umpire is, I do have a lean on the over. Over 6.5 plus 108 is the best price that I can find. DraftKings right now has both sides juiced, and everybody else is pretty much hanging on even money. But there are 7 strikeouts to be had across this lineup. There really is, especially when all of his other props are pretty well in line. So I also look at this year, his outs are juiced. So 17.5, but heavily juiced towards the over. So I look at, and the times where he's gone over 17 outs and half outs, meaning he's pitched 6 innings plus. Against the White Sox, he got 7. At the White Sox, he got 11. At the Orioles, he got 8. So those are the 3. And then at the Blue Jays was a little bit of an anomaly because they are such a high contact team and don't swing as much as the Royals do, where he was at Toronto and got 6. So when he hits 18 plus outs, he is very, very, very much in line to hit this over. So you give me plus money. To me, this is almost a 50-50 shot. And looking at the lineup, if Isbell isn't in and Waters is, you got to make sure Salvi and Canna are both in. I would be shocked if they both aren't. But if Waters is in and Isbell is not, then this would be a very, very value play on the over for Mr. Crochet. So, you can look at team strikeout percentage, you can look at contact metrics, and I mean, all those things are true. But if you're going to take pitches in the zone against this man, when he's in pitchers counts, his strikeout percentage goes up to almost 50%. So doesn't matter how good of a contact guy you are, you put yourself in an 0-2 or 1-2 hole against a guy with this good of stuff, you're running the risk of striking out. So speaking of running the risk of striking out, the line that I was waiting for since yesterday, I ran my prediction for what it would be to VIP. I said over 7.5 would be juiced at about plus 105 to plus 110. I was close. I was pretty close. Cole Reagans, the lefty, who has had games and periods where he just goes ballistic, striking guys out at a 38.5% clip. Good Lord. Walking guys at a 7.4% clip. He gets the Red Sox tonight. Same game, same umpire. So pitcher's umpire. Over 7.5 is juiced at -102 with a juiced a little bit more, 7.5 at -126. So to start off with, to play this game, you are playing the over or you are playing nothing. There is no in between. You cannot take, you absolutely cannot take an under on this man in this situation at home, coming off of the performance that you just can't do it. So we have Cole Reagans, and obviously we know about his last start coming back from not the IR, but a missed start, and he went absolutely ballistic. 11 strikeouts and on and off the stage in 5 innings, all he needed. So we go ahead and we look at Reagans, and we do see that he spends a little bit more above average time in the zone, 51.5%, but his zone contact allowed is just absolutely disgusting, 73.5%. Are you kidding me? Like that's absurd. That's almost like 10 to 12% under average. His chase contact is almost as good. And the big thing with Reagans is that he is striking out righties at an absurd 43.1% clip. So we go and we look at the past history with him in this lineup, and we see that as of right now, and this might be close to what their lineup is. This might be close. The Red Sox have not been afraid to run lefty. So right now it's 4 lefties and 5 righties. Now, while I hope that the Red Sox run a few more righties in this lineup, I'd be okay with this one. This one would be fine. So the one interesting thing here too is I talked about how the line went against Jack based on past history. So he had almost a 30% strikeout rate, and they dropped him from a 6.5 to a 5.5. Against this projected lineup, Reagans has 47 plate appearances and only 7 strikeouts, and that's a real number. You can go look it up. 14.9% strikeouts, and the book said, that we don't care. 7.5 is what it is, and it's for good reason. The reason is because this iteration of the Red Sox is different, and this iteration of Reagans is different than the one that faced them last time. So, with the lineup itself, what we're looking for is a lot of swing, especially swing in the zone. So we look at the Red Sox as a team, and we see that they swing a lot in the zone. I love that. And they don't make contact. When they do, you have to love it. Going through the lineup, Duran has a higher swing rate than normal in the zone. Devers is a walking strikeout. He'll strike out. That's not even a question about it. Bregman is going to be one of the ones that's going to be tough to get. Campbell doesn't swing in the zone, but doesn't make contact when he does. Story swings a lot in the zone, doesn't make contact when he does. That's a 1 to a 1+ right there. Abraham Toro, not a whole lot of plate appearances this year for the Red Sox, but for his overall career, he is a pretty average swing guy, does make some pretty high contact. So I would prefer not to see Toro in the lineup, but I think we will get him. Weiler Abreu swings a ton in the zone. Connor Wong doesn't swing a lot in the zone, but he does chase. And Rafaela is a walking strikeout. So I have Devers for sure. I have Story, could be 1+. I have Weiler Abreu is 1. I have Rafaela for 1, and I have most likely Duran for 1 as well. So I mean, just with those guys and with Story's multiple strikeout potential, I get to 5. I get to 5.5, probably almost 6. Now, there's a couple other guys that I would love to see in this lineup here too, is that I would love to see Gonzalez in this lineup. That would be nice because he swings a lot in the zone. I would love to see I would love to see Narvaez in the lineup. He swings a ton in the zone. So those two guys being in would make this a potential ladder spot. But I mean, this is one where look, these guys all swing in the zone, or most of them swing in the zone. Very few of them make contact when they do. So I'm looking to see the guys I just mentioned in. I would prefer it if Toro was out. I would also prefer it. I mean, Bregman's going to be in. You can't get around that one. And I would also, I mean, there's really nobody else that I'm like looking at saying, gosh, I hope that guy's not in, because that might, that might screw this up. Assuming that Bregman's going to be in, and he will be, is that Toro is the only one that I would prefer not to see in this lineup. And I would prefer to see guys like Narvaez, et cetera, instead. So you give me that. And I mean, this is over or nothing. I don't, there's no other way to play it. And you add in the pitcher's umpire, and you just have a situation where Reagans can easily hit 8 tonight. He can easily hit 8 tonight. My only question here is going to be, I'm still going to wait for the lineup, because I also want to see, are we gonna ladder up? But it would take a lot to get me off of Cole Reagans tonight. He's pitching too well, and this team is just absolutely horrendous when it comes to zone contact. All right, I saw a question here from Roger before we close the show out, and saying thoughts on Logan Webb. Yeah, I had him as an early look, but I had to cross him off. The thing with Logan Webb, so the Twins contact metrics have actually been quite good lately. They've been a lot better, and even though you see the last 2 weeks here, it's actually been better over the last week. Buxton's been just hitting the tar out of the baseball. So the 18.5 outs for him is pretty well where it should be. The 5.5 is where he's been all year. I just, for a guy like him, for who's thrown primarily sinkers, going on the road and trying to pay like -138, -140 for an over, to me the line is set pretty correctly, and I had him as a 50-50 shot whether he gets 5 or 6 in this game. And so I don't trust the Twins fully yet, and I don't want to pay -140 juice on something that's a 50-50 shot. So I'm probably just going to leave Mr. Webb alone. All right. Last but not least is other looks, sides, totals, leans, etc. today. If you are looking for a plus money shot, they're doing some weird things with Taj Bradley's line. Could be potential rain today. I don't think it's going to impact the game, but the Brewers at +110 has value. The other one that does have some value is, I think, the Cubs at +130 also has value. And that might be it from a money line perspective. The other ones that I found that I liked were all juiced. And as you know, the only ones I give out here are those plus money shots. From a totals perspective, the Royals and Red Sox under 7. I mean, it's going to be chalky, but given the two pitchers, I mean, it's one that I don't want to say you have to play, but I think that you should at least look at. And you have not the best of the best pitchers out in Coors. Even though this total is sky high, there's still value to me on the over 11.5 out in Colorado, because you have two bleh pitchers. You have Coors, and you have a Padres offense that has been much better lately. So yeah, I know it's a big number, but it's a big number for a reason. I would still look at the over on that one. And then the only other one that I saw that I think might have value would be, and this is just minor value, would be the under 9 in St. Louis and Washington. St. Louis and Washington. And if you're an NBA bettor, I would lay the Timberwolves -3 million. No, I'm kidding. But I do think that the Wolves cover the spread tonight. As you obviously all know, I'm from Minnesota. So if you're looking for an NBA lean here, Celtics for sure at -5.5. I think that I think they got the message. I don't think that New York surprises them again. Fingers crossed that they don't decide to chuck 570 million threes. and shoot themselves out of a game. And then for the later one, I mean, I'm not going to bet against my Wolves. I'm not going to go against my Wolves. The only thing that the thing I would look more for in that game is the under 200. I think that Golden State being at home, the only real chance that they have to even be competitive in this game is to ugly it up and just use a lot of the shot clock, play ugly, play physical. It's their only chance to be competitive without Steph. So under 200.5 for a lean for the Warriors Wolves, and Boston -5.5 even on the road. So anyways, that will do it for today. Thank you all so much for joining. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the Daily Bread Network and follow me on X at SpinDocSports. Like the video. Off tomorrow. Sundays are off. But my advice to everybody is, if there is for your mom, your grandma, all the moms out there, happy Mother's Day. Happy early Mother's Day to anybody who's listening. Mom who bets, if you happen to be here watching this later, happy Mother's Day as well. Please say happy Mother's Day to your mother. Do something nice for her. Flowers, dinner, lunch, whatever. Just do something real nice and let her know what she means to you. Thanks all. Best of luck if you're tailing, and we will see you on Monday.